What's going on, Capricorn Rising? This is your video. Okay, so we are going to talk about your journey and which vehicle you drive in throughout life. So this is a very light introduction to your journey and the way that you are going to be experiencing your life. Obviously, your planets matter and the aspects and the degrees and all that stuff. That's why you want to get a reading. But we can start right here. You know what I'm saying? We're going to talk about it anyway. So with that being said, let's talk about a Capricorn rising, okay? Capricorn rising, listen, y'all are ruled by Saturn. And Saturn in Capricorn, okay, is different than Saturn in Aquarius. So we're talking about Saturn in Capricorn in this video. As a Capricorn rising, anytime we think about Capricorn, it's father time, grandfather, discipline, structure, okay? It rules anything that is hard in our body, like our teeth and our knees and our elbows and our bones, okay? This is why Capricorns, grew up hard. Literally. Grew up very quick. The childhood was kind of like the nourishment was sapped out. And Capricorn is also an earth sign, right? Earth is dry. So now your personality can come out kind of dry. You know what I'm saying? Or just like straight to the point. Like this is what it is. It is what it is. Capricorn risings get like a lot of resting bitch face kind of stuff. People definitely say that about them, okay? And they'll be like, can you smile? And they'd be like, there's a seriousness, okay? There's even an air of pessimism here because, you guys didn't necessarily have the childhood that everybody else had and the lifestyle that everybody else had, or at least that's not how you perceived it, right? Because astrology is all about, one, the stars, and then how you perceive it as well. And your interpretation of it, your experience of it. So as a Capricorn rising, you guys are very hardworking, come off as very hardworking, or just can come off as hard. Hard to get through, hard to get to, hard to read. All right. Like, are you good in there? Is there somebody, that's Capricorn rising. You guys are just business, business oriented, want to get it done, about your shit, about your bag, about okay. This is like your personality. Now, of course, you can have other placements that will, give you a little bit of, flavor, to your personality. But this is very much Capricorn. There's a dryness to you guys. There's a distance to you guys as well. You want things to make sense. You definitely want things to make sense. So if people don't make sense, you kind of just like, okay, whatever. So that's on your first house. And, Saturn is there. So you can come off and seem very structured. And even if it's not that way, your personality, even your clothing can be that way. Everything is just very put together and structured and just the way that it should be, in order. There can be like a military style look, like a general style look to how you even appear and how you put yourself together. It's like Virgo rising, but there's another air. There's an air of like even luxury, because Capricorn is the highest of the highest of the highest. So there can also be that air to you guys of just like, it's Leo, but it's like Leo's grandfather, okay? Because it's old money. You guys can give off that aura as well. Because Capricorn rising, you guys are going to have whatever kind of structure it is. It has to be practical. It has to be resourceful, okay? It has to look good. It has to look like it's expensive, made from money, all right? It has to look like it's the top quality. So whatever vehicle you're driving, I'm thinking like, and I don't know if this is a quality vehicle to you, but like I don't know much about cars for real. I'm thinking still like even like, I don't even want to say a Jeep, but something that's structured very efficiently, you know. That's what the Capricorn rising is going to be. See, some of y'all going to be like in like Lexus, Lamborghinis, things like that, you know. But it just has to make sense. It has to look expensive. Like, people have to know the price point. People are going to be like, is that, you know, one of a kind? That's really what I feel like Capricorn rising would be. One of a kind, honey, one of one. The legacy brand. So that's your first house. And then your second house is going to be ruled by Aquarius. So when it comes to your money, honey, okay, first of all, you're like, okay, I need to know where my coins are at. You probably have a couple different bank accounts, okay? If not, you're dreaming of some. You definitely probably invest in different like little stock things, which is really good for you. You know what I'm saying? You like to invest in corporations and like long-term things. You also like to do innovative things with your money. Cryptocurrency might be of interest to you, you know. Technology and money, you guys like that kind of stuff, put it together. Even though, and you would think, oh, Capricorn traditionalist. Yeah, Capricorn in some instances traditionalist, right? But with that Aquarius in the second house, you guys value technology. You guys, that's why when we're talking about luxury too, the private jet, okay? We're talking about the best new updated technology, the best new phone, this kind of stuff. This is with the Capricorn rising. You guys also value community, and that's why it's so funny with your rising sign. You guys give off, you know, the seriousness, but you guys are really with the shits. You know what I'm saying? Like, y'all are with the shits. Y'all like all the strange things and all the different things and all the things that are rebellious and new and innovative. You know, that's what you guys really appreciate. And when it comes to your self-esteem, there could be an air, like, even this will even like reinforce, because it's now Saturn in Aquarius, right? It's a different kind of Saturn with Uranus. So it's electrifying. So your self-esteem might come off like, it might come off a little bit low key, you know, because Aquarius is there. So you might be a little bit detached from what you yourself have to value. You might be more attached to, you know, the monetary thing that you have to give, or like what you have to give to the community. You might not see yourself as the value or the commodity, you know. And that's the self-worth thing. There's a little bit of detachment from your self-worth. And this is something you definitely should be looking at and paying attention to. You want to make sure that you're being progressive for the community, of course, but also for yourself as well, you know, authentically. So then in your third house, we're going to have Pisces. Okay, Pisces in your third house. This is why I'm like Capricorn rising. Like, you guys are actually very fantasy driven. Okay, and this is why that's funny. Fantasy driven. You probably love like romantic comedies and like silly movies and things like that. Pisces there, you guys have a very intuitive mind. Okay, very empathic, emotional, and hypersensitive mind as well. And when you guys feel sad, you guys can start doing things that are very self-sabotaging. So be careful with your drinking and drug habits, because Capricorn, you know, will make it a part of the routine. You know what I'm saying? Because they like you guys like dependable shit. So even when you're sad, you can do certain behaviors that you're dependent on. So you have to be careful with that, because Pisces is where things end up getting lost, right? This is where we need to practice a lot of boundaries and a lot of discernment. This is where we have the most illusions, because we are still in the age of Pisces as well, with a lot of that heavy Neptune energy. So you want to make sure that when you are going through things, You want to spend time alone. You want to meditate. You want to be by water, and you want to be of clear mind. You want to write things down because it's getting too jumbled for you. You know what I'm saying? So definitely write things down. Communicate with somebody that you really, really trust, like a mentor. And we'll get to that in a minute, but like a mentor, somebody you really trust, because Pisces on the 3rd, you're going to have to really practice discernment with your mind state, because you know the 3rd house is our state of mind as well, like our mind and what we think about and how it connects to our emotions. 4th house, which we'll talk about in a second. So with Pisces there, you know, you're very forgiving, compassionate person, you know. Also, definitely have an ear for music. You definitely have an ear for music. Let's just say that. Now, the 4th house, you have Aries. This is interesting because Aries, wherever it is, you know, it's a great energy, but it's very hot because it is a fire energy. So it was hot in the home. You know, it could have been very competitive. Like people could have been anywhere from like, oh, everyone was an athlete, competitive, to aggressive. Because Mars is the warrior planet, you know. It rules accidents, rage, it rules fevers, it rules, you know, knives, sharp objects, things like that. It rules blood. So some of these elements could have been inside of your home, in your home life, you know, and in your 4th house, you definitely don't want to have that. So there's a little bit of aggression with your family, you know, feeling like you're the lone standing wolf, or feeling as if you're singled out in a lot of situations, because Aries is here on the 4th, you know. And I didn't say this in the beginning, but what I really want to focus on for this reading is the 1st, the 4th, and the 7th, and the 10th house, because those are like the pillars and the foundation of who you are. So the 1st house is Saturn. Now the 4th house is Mars. So now you have 2 planets that are not really emotionally available planets. Okay, Saturn is just like, nah, let's just structure this shit. Saturn is the general, Mars is the warrior. Okay, so they're all about their business, and that's already starting you off in this life. You know what I'm saying? So with that structure and discipline and that aggression and that fight, and you're very protective over your family. And it's very interesting with Capricorn Rising, because the thing is, like, even though life has been hard, there's still this need to protect your family at any cost. You know, you still want, the Aries is also, you know, where we tend to want to be first, and a pioneer and a leader. So you want to be a leader when it comes to your family in the future. You know, you want to be the person who's going to be pioneering a new family lifestyle. So that's very important to you, you know, wanting to be the first of something in your family. And you will be, and you probably have been, and you will continue to be. So that'll be very interesting for you. Just definitely make sure that you live alone at some point, especially if you're a Capricorn with rising that grew up with a lot of siblings, or like a lot of people in the house. Make sure you live alone at some point, because you do have Aries on the 4th, and you are going to get to know yourself very much when you live on your own. It's going to be a whole different experience for you, and that's when you're really going to be able to be inspired by your own thing and find your own drive and what inspires you every day and where your desires are. Okay, this is going to be really important homework for you, to make sure that you're living on your own, and I know a lot of you are working towards that. And then on the 5th house, we have Taurus. So Taurus on the 5th is also an interesting placement. So that's Venus in the 5th. You know, that portion of your childhood, like there could have been different portions of your childhood. It could have been like a little bit more aggressive at first, but it didn't sustain, you know, and then it tempered off at some point, because now we have Venus coming back in at some point in your childhood. So, you know, there was some sustainability at some point. There was there's a need for comfort and a need for security, you know. I think that you guys really look for that mostly outside of your family, mostly inside of your friendships, mostly inside of, you know, other experiences, because family is just a little bit distant for you, and I'll explain that in a second. It's not as innate for Capricorn risings or even Cancer risings, things like that. They're a little bit distant for you. So with Taurus here, this is also your romance. You know, you're slow to let people in. You're slow to entertain people or be entertained by people. However, you do like a good time. Because the thing is, like, you gotta impress me. Is Venus Taurus, so she likes an ambiance. We like an atmosphere. We love great food. We love great conversation. The music has to be popping. Like, it has to be, everything has to be in full alignment. Taste matters. Your senses have to be enticed, you know what I'm saying? That's what you really like when you're dating someone. Someone has to really make you remember them by their smell, or their favorite song, or their favorite food, things like that. You guys are very sensual beings as well, if I didn't say that, but you have Earth there, so make sure and I know you're good, but it's like Capricorn Rising. When you guys party, you guys are gonna party hard. Venus in the 5th is like we're gonna go all the way. So again, this will make whatever you love to party, it will make it a sustainable thing for you, something that you're fixated on. So make sure that you're not making it an obsession for yourself or an addiction for yourself, like gambling or something. Definitely Capricorn Rising, you should definitely be careful with gambling, online gambling. Like I said, Aquarius in the 2nd, make sure that you're not like just throwing money away for no reason. No, it's always cool to have some fun, but understand when it becomes too much, right? Because like I said, you have Pisces on the 3rd, so you have a tendency to romanticize the state of how things are in life anyway. At some point, there's some sense of confusion with that Pisces on the 3rd. So you have to practice more discernment and make sure that you're, even in your fun, and you'll be like, oh, but I worked so hard and I know, and life was hard, but when you want to blow off steam, you can blow off steam, but sometimes people go overboard, and that can fuck up a whole bunch of other shit down the long run. So that's what I mean. It's just like, make sure you're not going overboard or anything, and make sure you're not creating things that's concrete and relying too much on them, because that's where we seek our pleasure too. And Taurus there, honey, she whatever Lola wants, Lola gets. Okay, it's that kind of situation with Taurus of the 5th. But definitely you're the type of person, like, you smoke a blunt with, have a good meal, and take a nap. That's like a good time, go to a picnic, hang out by like some kind of nature stuff. That's really nice. You guys like to do nature stuff, go hiking and go outside. Like, you guys like to do that kind of stuff. And if you don't, you should, because that will actually be fun for you. And you'll be like, what do you mean? But anything with nature, plants, flowers, botany, anything to do with herbs or making perfumes or jewelry, stuff like that would just be fun for you. Painting would even be fun. Makeup would be fun. Things like that. Special effects too, because you guys have such a creative mind, like I said. Yeah, stuff like that. So then on the 6th house, we have Gemini. And this is how you take care of yourself, right? And this is one of the houses how you take care of yourself, how you're going to serve yourself. So you tend to overthink. You tend to, want to share or get a lot of info. If you have a lot of planets here, or if you have Mercury here, you might have a tendency to gossip at work. So be careful with this kind of stuff, okay? Because with Saturn as a rising, it comes back hard on you. You know what I'm saying? Anything that happens, it'll just be a lot. So, but with Gemini here, you definitely need to be mentally stimulated every day. And if not, you need to be mentally stimulated at the workspace, or, you need a lot of variety too, and actually movement. You need to probably be using your feet and walking around, things like that. If not, you probably get around and pace at work, things like that. You need to actually physically move around. Also, biking for you would be really good. It would be a really good thing for you to do in some kind of way, shape, or form. Roller skating would be good for you. Something that's going to use your legs as a sport would be something good. Hiking and walking, like I said, would be really good for you. Now, you can do like Sudoku or puzzle or something like that for your brain every day. Make sure you probably read a lot of books, buy a lot of books, things like that, because you do have Gemini there. Also, you probably work near like a train station or a highway, or just like a train or a bus, like busy street where a lot of people are walking, and there's just like could be a lot of activity happening there because, you know, Gemini. But this is like, make sure that you're taking a mental break every day because you have a lot of mental stimulation. You require a lot to be, you know, to be active and stuff like that. So make sure that you're using that time when you're walking and exercising, and just take that time, listen to something very Piscean and nature sounds, things like that. Then connecting back to nature, because you can also be very technology driven, you know, very just like a lot of other thoughts going on. So just like stripping the thoughts away and trying to be intentional and focusing at one or maybe a couple thoughts at a time instead of like 10, 15, you know, at come in. So yeah. And then on the 7th house, now you have Cancer. Okay, so you have Cancer in the 7th house. So your relationships, you definitely need nurturing and mothering. And if not, your friends are probably like that already. They nurture you and love on you and smother you and take care of you. But you need a lot of emotional reinforcement. You need a lot of emotional courage and support in your relationships. And this will definitely be your partner, and hopefully not emotionally manipulative or, you know, too hypersensitive where you guys can never get anywhere in your relationship. You know, you want this person to really be the yin to your yang emotionally, help you satiate that dryness that we were talking about at the beginning, right? And like, you know, give you some so you can get some. All right, so you get moist again. All right, this is with that Cancer on the 7th. You really need somebody who's going to let you emotionally build a safety net for yourself, and really be there for you and help you and guide you in that way. Definitely you're going to learn a lot from feminine and divine feminine and women, and you learn a lot from your mother. You definitely have a weird relationship with your mother, or it's like kind of like, you know, it's opposing. It can be opposing depending on where it's at, but most of the time, because for the 1st from the 7th, it's opposite from each other. So most of the times it's just different, you know, it's just like, So definitely seeing what that's about, and your relationship with women, because, you know, your relationship with your mother is essentially how you see your relationship with women. Your relationship with your father is essentially how you see your relationship with men, and so on and so forth, right? So yeah, this is definitely be interesting for you. And definitely the moon is, you know, here, so it's fluctuating, right? Your relationships are fluctuating. They're in and out, and they pass through often. And that's just something you have to learn to flow with. That's the point. There's water there. So that's what it's teaching you as a Capricorn. You want to hold on to stuff, but it's teaching you in your relationships that people come and go, but they serve a purpose, and they're still quality at the same time, you know? So then you have Leo on the 8th. So that Leo on the 8th, Taurus on the 5th, you know, these are your sexual houses. And while Leo on the 8th is, you know, there might be some like dominance in your sex play, things like that. You might like to dress up, you know, because you are fantasy driven, things like that. And what else, Leo? Leo on the 8th, you know, you might definitely have anger issues, rage, because it's like the lion in the dark, and only the people who get you into the dark or try to get you out of the dark will see that lion. So there definitely could be that kind of rage sitting under there, and it's this angry child, you know, child left in the dark kind of feeling with Leo in the 8th house. So it could feel very lonely, even when you're raging out sometimes. So make sure that you have somebody that you really can trust, you know, and have an emotional bridge with, right? Cancer, 7th house, somebody who really cares about you, and so that they really can hear where you're coming from. Because wherever the sun is where our spirit wants us to really focus to in this lifetime, and yours is the 8th house. So you have to focus on dealing with sex and intimacy, vulnerability. You have to deal with sex, death, rebirth, you know, transformation, a lot of change, and a lot of evolution, and a lot of spiritual growth. So, and Capricorn Rising, you guys can be very stubborn and hard-headed, like I said, you know. And you guys want to make sure that you address these issues and address these areas of your life, because they're very important. It's important for you to address that little child in the dark with that Leo there. But this also can make you very fun in bed, very playful. Playful and sensual, I feel like, is your style, the Capricorn Rising. A lot of people might not read you that way, but yes, especially earth signs, very sensual people. And, you know, you definitely need a person you can laugh with, you know, when you're vulnerable and have those vulnerable, intimate conversations. And it's definitely through, you know, the spirit of sex that you will find a lot of healing. A lot of spiritual healing, but only if you have the courage, you know, and that's something you definitely have to see for yourself. Now, the 9th house is Virgo. You could be very critical of and judgmental of people's beliefs and morality and integrity in general and religion in general, because it could have just played a lot. It could have just done too much and kind of caused too many compartments, and for you to internalize faith and spirituality and law and things like that, you know. And you just feel as if with that Virgo there, it's just everything is jumbled, but you're trying to organize it, you know, trying to organize people's beliefs and what is what makes sense. But you can get a little crazy here because you're trying to organize it too much, and you can also create problems that don't need to be there. You know, people's faith is people's faith. A lot of times you can't explain that shit, trust me. Then your 10th house, midheaven. Okay. Did I switch it? No, I'm good, right? Oh yeah, good. The midheaven is in Libra, 10th house. So that's Venus. You just want to be appreciated and supported. You want to have great one-on-one relationships when it comes to your career, and you really want to create partnerships and want to be social and talk to people and have conversations with people, and you actually like to connect, you know. Art is also important to you, and just a beautiful aesthetic, and, you know, a place that you can converse with people and exchange ideas and build concepts and things like that. So definitely see where your Venus is placed, but at the end of the day, you just want people to fuck with you, like for real, because at home you just did not feel that way. And out here, you know, in this world, you want people to really just lift you up. So definitely do something where you feel supported. If you don't feel supported, voice it. And if you don't think it's going to change, because you know, Gemini in the 6th, I'm pretty sure you say something, and if it doesn't change, then move on, because you don't need to stay there, okay? That's not what we're going to do. But especially with that Venus there, you need that, and you definitely need to be supported by your friends with your business, point blank, period. And if your friends are not showing up for you, honey, get new friends. Then the 11th house, okay, Scorpio. So yeah, your friends are, you know, this is also your network. This is going to be your hopes and your dreams. It's also going to be your community. And you're going to be surrounded by people who are powerful, but you're also going to be surrounded by people who are jealous and envious. You have to, again, practice that discernment, because as a Capricorn rising, you just give off big, bad, bitch, boss energy. You know what I'm saying? Like, you give off, like, I do this for a living anyway. Like, it's not a big deal, you know? But you don't, most time you ain't even out there like that, especially as a Cap rising. I don't even care if you have a Leo sun. You probably just, like, kind of low key with it, but you have this quiet confidence about you, and it could be intimidating to people, you know. But you need to make sure you're around people who are building you up and not destroying you, because Scorpio there, you can definitely draw in people who are going to be power hungry, manipulative, controlling, jealous, and envious. Or you can draw in people who are shamanic and healing, you know, and people who really want to merge. And it's actually good to have this placement when you're in a good energetic space, because people will invest in your ideas, you know, your hopes and dreams. So it's good. Excuse me, but and then lastly, 12th house is Sagittarius. So Sagittarius, your spirituality, okay, your faith, and also things you fear is the 12th house. It's a lot of different things, but essentially you fear a lot. You're paranoid about a lot. And depending on where your Jupiter is at, it'll tell you more about what you are paranoid about and what you're scared of. But your faith has been shattered. It's been lost, it's been confused, it's been hidden from you. And it's something you really have to work on. That's why you look at something you really have to work on. That's why you look at these kind of videos, and you probably have a lot of resources and stuff like that, because you're trying to figure it out. And it's good, because you should have a lot of resources. You need a lot of different gurus. It's like your gurus are hidden from you as well. You have to do more work to find them. It's almost like you have to teach yourself all the time, but we are out here for you, okay? You have to just see us how you see us and use us how you can use us. But with Sagittarius there on the 12th, let me tell you, you have a lot of hidden blessings, a lot of great talents that are in the background. You have this, really internal wisdom and mentorship to offer the subconscious collective on a really deep level that can teach a lot of people a lot of things, and you definitely shouldn't hide that. You should continue doing the work, not just the physical, mundane work that shows you the realistic thing. And that's the thing about Capricorn Risings. You guys are too stuck in reality. You guys have to start traveling. You guys have to start traveling for your faith, and actually the more you travel to isolated spaces by yourself very safely, okay, because I don't know about solo travel these days, but if you definitely travel by yourself, to foreign lands, you will gain a lot of wisdom, a lot of insight, a lot of things like that, for yourself and for your spiritual journey and things like that. But make sure you're very, very safe. Like I said, make sure you're very safe. That's just me and my Cancer rising talking. I'm just like, no, like, just be careful. But yeah, so with that Sagittarius there, your fantasies are also quite big. Okay, and you can really be a blessing to the people who are lost, to the underdogs. So keep that in mind, even though you might feel, a little bit pessimistic and sad about life and restricted, and you feel like it's always delayed and life is hard. Trust me, people are watching and they are secretly inspired by your ass. I hope you guys liked the video, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.